Hey guys, I'm back, and this video is going to be a bit of a change of pace from what I've been posting a lot lately, which has been a lot of book talks. I seem to get in this rut where all I do is film book talks and post those, and then I always forget that hey, maybe you should do a tag video. Hey, maybe you should, start doing Top 5 Wednesdays again, which I'm slowly working my way back into. Anyways, this is a tag video because I haven't done one in a really long time, and I decided, you know what? It's time to do a tag video. So this is the Reader's Problem tag, and I don't know who created it, so sorry. I also don't know where I watched this from and who I got it from, so sorry again. I mean, I just thought it was cool. It's a bunch of random questions, so let's get started. Question number 1 is: there are 20,000 books on your TBR list. How in the world do you decide what to read next? Actually, I'm really there's no way I'd just be able to be like, you know what, I want to read this, and then I'll read that, because I'll change my mind a million times, because I'll have it set, this is what I'm reading next, but then I'll change my mind 20,000 times and I'll never end up reading it. So, I actually got this idea from somebody else, but I have my own little TBR jar, and it's got a name of every book on my bookshelf, unless it's a series and it's the first book in a series, because what I like to do is once I start a series, I like to finish the series, and then I'll pick up a new series or book or whatever to read. But this is normally how I decide what to read next. Unless it's for my book club, then I'll read that next, obviously. However, my TBR jar is not up to date right now. I actually have a stack of books right here. You can see them right here and right here that have not been added into this, that need to be cataloged and added in, and these are all in there. There's another this whole shelf right here stacked with books that has not to be done. So that's how I pick my next books. Question number 2. You are halfway through a book and you do not like it. Do you continue or just quit? That really, really depends on, maybe do I think it could get better in the end or not. I really hate quitting reading a book because it makes me mad, especially if it's a book that everybody else loves, and I'm just you know what? I'm not really feeling this. I have to stick it out to the end. So, when on my fandom pages, they make jokes or edits or whatever, I still understand them because I read the book. But, I mean, there are certain books that, I just had to put down. I couldn't get through. And normally those are school reads. I didn't even get through the first chapter of Frankenstein, and I had to put it down. And I don't think I'm ever going to pick that back up ever again. I read the first 3 chapters of The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I really want to pick it up because I really want to read it. I don't know if I'm going to get to picking it back up because it's just, no, it's just, I can't do it. I also never finished In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I started reading it for my class, and then a lot of stuff came up, so I just got really behind, and I couldn't bring myself to continue reading it, so I never finished that book either for school. So I really, really try not to quit unless I just absolutely can't do it anymore. I almost did it with 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Darker. There were just points where I had to put the book down and I just didn't want to pick it back up. But I was maybe it does get better because all my friends were raving about it. And now I'm just I should just stop reading. I didn't need to finish those. I almost put down Ready Player One too because it got really boring. But I'm really glad I pushed through because it did get better. So normally I push through and just just get through it and you'll pick up a better book next, is always what I think. It is almost the end of the year and you are nowhere close to your goal. Do you try to catch up? If so, how do you? I know I set reading goals for myself on Goodreads just like everybody else. Normally I just, I try and read and stay up to date, but when you hit a reading slump and you're just screwed, it's there's nothing there to do it. I don't own a lot of comic books or manga or anything to read, so I just kind of I try to catch up as much as I can, but normally I'm just next year. I'll do better next year. Question number 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. How do you cope? Yeah, I would probably go out and rebuy the entire series so they all matched. That is probably what I would do. That's normally what I do anyways. If I have an old cover version and they just recently came out with new covers, I'll go buy them and stuff. And they all have to be either all paperback or all hardcover. I can't do the mix match. It drives me insane. And yeah, I have the Perfect Chemistry trilogy back here that I read. I have the last 2 books in hardback and the first one in paperback, and it drives me insane. So I need to find that first one in hardcover so they can all match. It drives me insane. They all have to match. They all have to have like the same cover design. All have to be hardcover or paperback. I can't do it, and it drives me insane until I finally, get them all in the same version. Question number 5. Everyone and their mother loves a book you hate. How do you express your feelings? I put it in my review. I write reviews on Goodreads for books I've read, so I definitely put it in my review, just saying I hated this book, this is the stuff I didn't like, maybe it would have been better, or maybe would have liked it more and stuff. I also would put it in my book talk. I would really appreciate if there were no hate comments on those, but there's just some overhyped books that I'm just like, how did this even get overhyped? Like, it's not even that good. Like, 50 Shades of Grey. But, that's just my opinion on things. Question number 6. You're reading in public and you're about to cry. How do you deal? I tend not to be a very emotional person. I try not to be emotional. Normally, I really, really hate crying in public. So if that happens, like, it has to be something serious. Because, I just really don't like crying in public, because then everybody's like staring at you and wondering what's wrong and then judging you. I just can't deal with it. But if I am like, super drawn into a book and I'm about to cry, I will like try to hold it in as long as possible, and my eyes will start watering, and then you'll see the tears start slowly slipping down, and I'm like, don't cry. But sometimes you just can't help it. But most of the time, if I'm getting ready to cry at a book, it's probably because I'm in my room reading it. Question number 7. A sequel to a book you love is coming out, but you do not remember anything from the first book. What do you do? I would like to say, I go back and reread the first book. I normally don't. I just, pick it up and read it and pray to God I remember something, and it slowly starts coming back to me. And normally that does happen, because if you notice, because, books come out years apart, or like a year, or, more than 1 year, depending on the author and how long it takes them to write the book. So normally what you can do is, what they do when they write it is they go back and like re-explain things in books for you. So then it's like, oh my gosh, that makes sense now, and like you connect the pieces from the previous book. And if I'm like marathoning a series and I get to those parts, I'm like, why are you saying this? Because I already know this. But it's made for those people who are like caught up to date with the series and are reading it along with everybody else. So, that works. Question number 8. You don't want somebody to borrow your books. How do you politely tell them to step away from the bookshelf? I like to consider myself a library to my friends, because a lot of them are like, oh, I want to read this book. Can you have it? So I'll normally like lend out my books. But that's only if I know you. Like, my best friend, I give her books a lot. She actually has quite a few of my books, because her and her mom like borrow them from me and read them, and then they'll give them back months later. My little sister's best friend also borrows like half my bookshelf at a time, and reads them and then like brings them back in bulk. So, but I start having problems when it's like kids that are like friends with my sister and I don't know them and I don't know how well they take care of books. If I've heard you tear books apart, I'm going to tell you to get away from my shelf and get out of my room. If somebody asks for it, I may politely just say, I actually don't have it on me. I'm letting so-and-so borrow it right now. Or, I don't know. I sold it. Maybe I'd say that. I don't know. I just can't deal with people borrowing my books. If you can't take care of my book and promise me you're going to bring it back in the same condition I gave it to you in, then you're not taking a book off my shelf and taking it home with you, because I don't know what you're going to do to it, and if you ruin my book, I will make you buy me a new copy. And it's not going to be, if I have a paperback edition, it's not going to be a paperback edition. I'm going to tell you to buy me the nice, pretty hardcover edition, because that's going to pay for all the damage you did to my book. Question number 9. You've picked up 5 books this month, and you are currently in a horrible reading slump. How do you get out of it? I tend to quite get into reading slumps quite often. I don't know why. It's just like, I think it may be like I just read so much and then I get burnt out. Well, I wouldn't actually say burned out, because I don't know why I would. I don't quite get burned out. I don't know. sometimes like books just like lose my interest, and then like I just don't want to pick them back up, and then it just makes me like not want to read anymore. But like I force myself to pick it back up. I'll force myself to continue reading the book till I'm done with it. It may take longer than it normally would, because normally I can read, 300, 400 page book in a week because I'm kind of a slow reader. Also, like, once I finish that and, I still don't want to read, I'll normally pick up something that sounds really interesting, or I've heard a lot of good reviews about, or people have recommended, like, hey, read this will get you out of your reading slump. Like, before Ready Player One, because I got in a reading slump reading that one, I was in a previous reading slump after reading 50 Shades Darker because I just hated the book and it was awful, and I don't know why I read it. I picked up Eleanor and Park for my book club, and that definitely pulled me out of my reading slump because it was an amazing book. It was lovely. It was just beautifully written. So I just normally find something that has really good reviews, and I would feel like maybe it would be a contemporary or a very strong action book, because, I don't know, it's just, the little teenage feels get to me, and that will bring me out of my reading slump, or like something that's like really entertaining and like my attention being drawn in will definitely bring me out of my reading slump. So it's got to be like one of those two. Question number 10. There are so many amazing books you are dying to read coming out this year. How many of them are you actually going to buy? The answer to that question would be probably one or two. I always like look at books and I'm like, oh my god, that book comes out and I want it, but I always like forget about it and push it to the back of my mind because I'm like, I don't really need to buy it because I've already got so many other books on my shelf that I need to read. So I'll probably end up buying like one or two of those books. And so far, like as of this current year, I've only bought 2 books that have been published this year, and that is Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black, and the other one is the 10th anniversary of Looking for Alaska, because it's gorgeous. And my friend still has my other copy of Looking for Alaska, so I was like, why not stretch and get the really beautiful hardcover 10th anniversary edition? So those are the only 2 I've bought. So like, I'm not really big on buying books that just came out, because it's like, I've already got so many books, and especially if it's part of a series, and I'm like, then I have to wait years for the series to actually finish. So I'm really a big person that does, I'll buy books once the series is complete, and then I read it, because then it's like I can marathon it and not have to worry about another book coming out. And finally, question 11. After you have bought all those books you are dying to read, how long will they sit on your bookshelf? They could sit on my bookshelf for, weeks to years. I have books on my shelf that I've had for years, like, let's see. I have the Chronicles of Narnia, the big pretty edition, on my shelf. I've had that since I was like 8, and I still haven't read it. So yeah, that's been sitting on my bookshelf for 10 years now. It just ranges, whether I pick it out of the TBR jar, I'll finally get around to it, or if, I've heard raving things about it, or like I just really want to read it, then I'll read that. Like, it just depends on like what mood I'm in and how soon I get to it. So I'd say, normally it'll sit on my book for like years. Like the series I'm currently reading right now, which I'll actually finish tonight I'll actually finish after I get off of work. The first book had been sitting on my shelf for a year and a half, I think, and I finally picked it up, and then I bought the second and third book. And so those were only on my shelf for, a week while I finished the first book. So it depends. And now on to the people I tag to do this. I tag Reader Skeeter, I tag Rihanna, oh my gosh, I can't remember your channel name. I just recently started following you, so I tag you. I also tag Janie from Bookworms Buddies. Yeah, so you do these and let me know so I can go watch your videos. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm actually wearing makeup today, so you aren't subject to my ugly makeupless face. I found myself, maybe I should put on makeup, maybe I should try today. Yeah, it's just eyeliner and, my basic stuff. But, it's still a step up from what I've been doing since school let out. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time with a book talk by Wednesday, or a tag video. Until then, I'm Chrissy. Goodbye!